And really the topic is it's really much easier to grow a practice or a business than what most people realize, especially if you have a checklist and a proven system. It's pretty easy. And let me just remind you how that is. Now, again, if you don't know or, then it's difficult. But, we already have a proven record of exactly how to grow a business and multiple businesses in chiropractic. We already know what works and what doesn't and all that. So we have a really good blueprint, really good checklist, and definitely things to stay away from and things to zero in on. But I just wanted to share with you the concept of $1 million practice and how to make $1 million a year working part-time. And so let me just cover that, show you here real quick. This is pretty simple. This is how to create $1 million practice in 3 years. And to be honest with you, it should happen in less than 3 years. Yeah, especially if you already have somebody who knows how to do it. And that's the person who's showing you how to do it, like me. And I made way more than $1 million a year, but $1 million a year. And this is working part-time. So when you look at the math, if you work 3 days a week, if the main doctor sees 100 patient visits, and so you can see him kind of being conservative with the patient visits. So if you only work 3 days a week, it's 100 patient visits a week at a $75 per visit. And you would just do a little more personal injury to get it up to $75, but that's not difficult. I mean, if you had as little as a 15% personal injury caseload, your dollar per visit would be 75. So you can work the numbers even if you bring your dollar per visit down and your patient visits up, whatever. But these are just I'm just trying to point out this is very realistic numbers, pretty easy. 100 visits a week, 3 days a week. That's 33 patients a day. That's very easy. So that's $390,000 total. And we'll take 50% of that for overhead. So that's $195. So it's about $200,000 a year you're making. And of course you can't have a practice working 3 days a week that'll kill a practice. You got to keep it open. So, we look at the first associate doctor, and all of this has to do with leveraging time and money. It is extremely difficult to exchange your time for money in a chiropractic office. I mean, we could run the numbers, but it's just very difficult to exchange your time for money by yourself and make $1 million a year. Now, when I say make $1 million, I'm talking about profit. So when we talk about profit, that's after overhead, before taxes. After overhead, before taxes. So typically you're talking about 50% overhead, so you're talking about $2 million. So it's the case averages that you're dealing with and dollar per visit and time and all that becomes very prohibitive, just exchanging your time for money. And so that's why we're real big into leveraging time and money, because that's not only does it make you the most money, it gives you the most freedom and the highest quality of life. That's why. And so here's a simple example of the first associate doctor seeing 80 patient visits a week, which is unbelievably easy. I mean, the last associate doctor that we just trained hit 80 patient visits a week. I think it was his 10th week in practice using our systems. So this stuff is just easy. If you just do it, it's easy. It's just getting people to do basic stuff. So if you take $75 at a dollar per visit at 80 visits, that's $312. And let's say you do a 50-50 deal. Now remember, in the beginning, it's not 50-50. It's 2/3, 1/3 until they pay off an agreed amount for all the training. So it's way more profitable for the first 1, 2, or 3 years because you make 2/3, not 50%. So let's just, again, I'm just trying to be very conservative here to show how realistic this is. And I easily did this at age 33. I was 33 years old when I did this. Went over $1 million. So 80 visits, so divide that by 2. So 50% for him, 50%. Remember, your overhead's already covered. Your space, labor, equipment, it's already covered. So, the associate doctors are a huge profit. So that's $156,000. First associate doctor at 50% at 80 visits. Second associate doctor, same thing as 150. And you always want two. There's nothing worse than having one associate doctor, you seeing 100, 150, them seeing, 100, 150, and then they quit or leave or whatever. And now you're overwhelmed. Or let's say you're working part-time, they quit, now you got to go in full-time. I mean, that's a very negative experience. You don't want that. Matter of fact, you never want to go to part-time until you have two people for the most part. So second associate doctor, and when you do that, you don't even have to work at all. So you can work part-time or you don't even have to work at all at this point. Now you become the trainer manager, especially for the doctors that are good, what I call rainmakers. There's a lot of doctors, a lot of clients that I have that are way more valuable being the rainmaker than being what I call the widget doctor. The widget doctor is the doctor just processing the patients. And too many times the doctors, the really good doctors that are rainmakers get stuck practicing because they don't learn these systems and they don't leverage their time. And they don't realize that's the least amount of money they can make is by practicing. Or the most money that a rainmaker can make is by not practicing, by being the rainmaker. And that's through leveraging time. And of course, that's through training the associate doctors and managing and creating the business. I made way more money not practicing than practicing because you're very limited. When you're in your practice, you can only see so many patient visits and that's it. Well, if I was seeing 100, I typically saw I'll just give you an example. I used to see about a little over 200 visits a week was my comfort zone, energy and all that stuff, by myself. And then, that's a certain amount of money, $50, 2 times 5 is 10, 40, 480. So, you can make $350,000 a year, depending on your dollar per visit, even up to $500,000, depending on your dollar per visit. But as soon as I started training associate doctors, I would sell one office at, one associate doctor at $350,000. And so, I was training 7 doctors every 6 months at $350,000. So you do the math, 350. So 300 times 7 through 21, that's over 4 million, right around $5 million. If it's 350 person, 3 times 7 is 21. So that's you get the idea. Every 6 months, I was making $2 million. By training 7 doctors every 6 months at a fee of $350,000. So, I was making $4 million a year versus $350,000 a year. And that's leveraging, and that doesn't even include taking that money and leveraging it into real estate. That's when things get crazy. So I keep saying this over and over, and some people get it, some people don't. Some people just get stuck into the mentality of exchanging time for money. Got to be a chiropractor, got to be a chiropractor, got to be a chiropractor. Okay. All right. So there you are. So there's the example. And then if you bought 2 properties a year, which is pretty easy, $250,000 a property, $500,000 asset, cash flowing, high quality property, and we teach all this. And even if you went through, good loans for them and didn't even do owner financing, owner financing takes a lot more skill level. But even if you don't do that and you just learn, how to buy quality real estate, there you are. There's 100 visits a week, working 3 days a week. There's $1 million. And this, that's you seeing 100 visits a week and 2 associate doctors seeing 80, which is pretty, unbelievably low. All of those numbers are low for those doctors. And there's your $1 million a year, just like that. So, but of course you got to learn systems. You got to learn how to hire and train. I mean, you do have to learn how to do all this, but it's not that difficult. Like anything, when you have somebody showing you. So I just wanted to share with you that, this $1 million practice, if you try to do it on your own, it's virtually impossible. It's virtually impossible, but it's very easy. It's very easy to have $1 million practicing 100 visits a week, working 3 days a week, when you know how to leverage your knowledge, your skill into your time, called associate doctors and real estate. It's very easy. In this example right here, it's even way more than that. You shouldn't even need the associate doctor's income, the $300,000 from the associate doctors. That's called disposable income. You shouldn't even need that. The money that you make, should pay for your mortgage and your house and all that stuff. And then you take $300,000 and you leverage it 10 to 1 into real estate. Now you made $3 million instead of 1. And that's not difficult. I mean, it's easy 3 to 1. I mean, it's unbelievably easy and ridiculous to leverage your money 3 to 1 in real estate. So you got $300,000, 300,000. That's easily 600,000 or 900,000. See, now you're at $1.5 million. So I just wanted to point this out that. But it's a different way of thinking. This is a different way of thinking. You can't just think like, I'm going to be a chiropractor the rest of my life. And that's all I'm going to do. I'm not going to do anything else. You can't think like that. Or that's all you will do. So you have to allow your mind to go, wait a minute. I don't have to bust my butt the rest of my life. I can work part-time, enjoy what I do, take plenty of vacations and freedom, take 3-day weekends, only work Monday, Wednesday, Thursday. Every weekend's a 3-day weekend. Your office is open, stays open full-time. It has to, or you start losing business. You got the 1 to 2 associate doctors. It's an unbelievable high quality in life. Just from that simple perspective. And if you didn't want to do any more business, just that, you're fine. You wanted to just take that extra time and spend it with your family and kids or whatever, I got doctors that do that. They don't take that extra freedom and, open 5 more offices. They don't, some are more aggressive like that. Some aren't. So anyway, I just wanted to show that the $1 million practice working part-time is not difficult at all, but it's a total different way of thinking. It's a different paradigm. And if you don't open your mind to that paradigm, to be quite honest with you, you'll never have much in the way of wealth. Remember, you can make a good income as a chiropractor, but most doctors spend their money. They buy the big house and the big SU, taxable, depreciating liabilities with monthly payments. That's the formula for staying broke. And that's what most doctors do when they make a good income, as opposed to the opposite. Non-tax deductible appreciating assets with no monthly payments, but with passive income. See, that's the formula for wealth.